Welcome to the Collingwood Rant. I'm Slow.
And I'm thinking this isn't going to work.
I agree. I told you this was a stupid idea.
What happened to the other guy?
Fuck.
Welcome. Somehow I'm back to Collingwood Rant, just because the replacement didn't work.
Where did you fucking come from?
I don't
Well,
know.
there's so much for the swearing.
That's a good fucking point.
What are we doing here?
I don't know what I'm doing here. So
Where's your running sheet? Have you forgotten everything
the other guy
since you
took it.
retired?
Season's almost about to begin. It's rushed upon us
Has it?
like a librarian.
Like a librarian.
Fuck you, Dennis Committee. I didn't see any of the practice match.
I did, unfortunately.
I didn't know what to say about Collingwood. What are your feelings about Collingwood this year?
In a nutshell. Look, I don't think we're a contender.
Or a pretender?
I don't think we're the arse end of the ladder. I think we're somewhere in between.
While North Melbourne exists.
And I think by the outs, who left us? Cox,
Coxie,
Mirchek.
Mychek,
Who else left?
Hoskin
Elliott. We're going to miss him.
Lipinski.
Is Lipinski left?
Who could tell?
I heard he got trapped in a paper bag. Couldn't find his way out. So you've got some big outs there to cover. I think you're forcing then a few changes coming in. We've got
Mitchell's another one.
Mitchell's another one. We've got Buller coming in as key forward. He's going to kick 300 goals this year, I hear. So that's taken care of that position. But I think by obviously forcing of changes that we're obviously going to be in a mini rebuild. I think the one thing with Collingwood is when we do go through these mini rebuilds, should I do quotation marks? Would that make it sound a little bit more impressive? Mini rebuild, that we don't tend to stay down for long. However, though, my prime concern is with this, and like I didn't see much. I saw the last quarter of the first Pracky game, and you can't obviously read too much into Pracky games. It's a little bit about messing with structure and people's minds and wallets. I saw the second game against North where we had a huge bunch of core outs. I guess it was a chance for some of those next tiers to step up, but I'm yet to see anyone really look like they've improved, if you know what I mean. And that's probably where my concern lies with how the support for that development stuff is going to pan out.
All right, so those are my concerns. I didn't see any of the practice match. I don't really care.
Well, that's a concern.
Yeah. You're relying on old guys to come back around again. Now, I have no problem playing old guys if they're earning their keep. And I don't think there's anyone in the VFL who's pushing Pendle's side bottom and Howe out. And that's a good and a bad thing because, at least you can say, the first half of last year, side bottom was all Australian. So if they can replicate that form for the whole year, great. But it really shows the dearth of quality in this list. It shows... I don't want to criticise the club because I'll do it anyway, but they won the flag, so they got it right for that time being. Where I think they've gotten it wrong is concurrently they could have rebuilt on the run. They didn't do it. They invested in players they didn't need. They didn't need Lockie Schultz. Now, it's no disrespect to Lockie Schultz. I've always said, coming out of the 23 grand final, Nathan Murphy was concussed. We talked about it repeatedly. This guy's not going to have a long career, unfortunately, because he's got a bad concussion profile. You had Ginnivan, McCreery, Elliott, Harrison, Bobby Hill there. You had 5 small forwards. Another small forward was not your priority. Your priority was to get another key position they're in to replace a very obvious soon-to-be out. And Murphy never played another game again. So that's short-sighted by Graham Wright. Do that sort of job at Carlton. We'll be really happy.
Is it Carlton?
Yeah. So
they're travelling well, though, aren't they?
I'm a little bit tired of the myth around some of these figures. So they should have actually looked at how they were going to rebuild on the run. The Dacos thing we've covered. I don't think they should have traded that first rounder in anticipation of going to get Nick Dacos anyway. It would have been better if they could have got Nick Dacos and someone. the bulk of the players they picked up for all those teens and 20s picks, the Caleb Poulters, the Ollie Henrys, the Finn McRae's, they're all gone. The only two guys left are Reece McInnes and Bo McCreary. And Bo McCreary was a late 40-something pick. The trading Jack Ginnivan from the outside looking in was a mistake. If it was just really disciplinary shit, I'd be disappointed that they didn't just keep trying to rein him in, because I think he can play, and he's shown that at Hawthorn. And with your list profile, you can't afford to be giving away young players you've put 3 years into. So I think their list management has been actually diabolical. And then this whole thing of look, good luck to Jack Buller. But I remember Hot Rod from Extreme Black and White said about 8-9 years ago when we got Jesse White, Collingwood gets Jesse White and Sydney gets Lance Franklin. And it's just happened again. Sydney's gotten Charlie Curnow, we've gotten Jack Buller. You're pinning your hopes on all these Moneyball selections, and you've been doing it for 100 years. At what point do you realise it's not going to work? So, I think we'll finish top 8, because I just think that well coached and that well drilled, and there's enough talent in there to keep them fighting.
Yep.
The problem is the top end of, Brisbane won the flag. They've got all these young guns, father sons coming in. They've got all this elite talent coming in, and then they went and got Draper and Oscar Allen. No, they've both got injury profiles, but it's like they went and got really good talent. Where is that at Collingwood? Where are you looking at going, this is where our improvement's going to come from?
Well, it's Buller.
Well, that's what it is. It's Buller. And it's, they went for all these ready-made draftees like Prindable and Anderson and all that, guys they could just about plug in. We were banking on the Rowan Steels, like a mid-season drafty. Jack Buller's a mid-season drafty too.
Is he?
For Sydney, not for us, but yeah. He's like a second rounder, so that equates to about pick 141. So I just don't think their list management's been that foresighted. I think it's really been cobble on the run, get the best out of what we can. And it's seriously, it feels like Moneyball stuff. It's like, well, we don't need a Curnow to kick 8 goals a week. We just need someone to replace Mio's input, which is 1.5 goals a week. Or whatever. I really think they're looking at it with Moneyball stats.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at memory stats the other day. He's averaging a goal a game. McStay, when he plays, averages about a goal a game. You're not really going to anything in the forward line that steps up in a key position perspective who's going to kick a bag each week. Although Buller will to get his 300. I think he said he could do it.
The guy who should be full forward there is Elliott. He's kicked 50 goals last year. He did really well in McStay, wasn't he? He's your full forward. If you are going to try and make this memory McStay thing work for a fucking second year in a row, it wasn't working last year, and they kept trying to make it work. And then the genius
slide. You didn't see the game on the weekend. You had McStay, West, and Buller. They kicked 164 goals. This is the future.
I understand. If they were the club speaking to us, like if we were sitting inside the boardroom one day over a beer.
How they spell boardroom there?
But if we were sitting inside the boardroom with...
Could you imagine that?
And I'm sure the administrators there will go, look, you don't know what we know because we're inside the club, and there's people inside the club, further inside the club, like deeper inside the club, who know more than you know.
Yeah, there's one thing that Star Wars has taught me, that even a janitor at Collingwood knows every machination about that club.
But I think sometimes that can be a shortcoming because you are so, that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. You are so immersed in it, you've totally lost objectivity. I found it a farcical last year when we played West Coast, and that's when the Craze said, well, let's try for 4 talls in the forward 50, and they brought Charlie West in. Your whole game plan is based on bomb the ball forward and get Smalls to apply the pressure and force a turnover. So by going taller, you're actually antithetical to what your game plan is. Do you not know your own game plan?
Do you know what might fool Ross Lino next weekend? 5 talls.
Oh, what are you going to say, Tom Silvani? But yeah, I've always been a big bloke. Put your players in the positions they're going to be best at. Now, I understand sometimes you have to play in positions to patch holes and, all that sort of stuff, and that's fine. But I think the way we play, and if you look at the way Richmond played when McRae was there, their forward line was Jack Rewalt and Caddy from...
Caddy Shack?
Yeah, from that whatever shit club you came from.
Gold Coast? That Caddy? I don't know.
Was it Nate or Josh?
Nate or Josh Caddy?
No, Caddy's at Essendon, isn't
How many Caddy?
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it's the talls were like just apply to pressure, and we got the smalls and the mid-sized ones to actually capitalise.
We used to have a little small forward that used to do that.
And we'll get onto him later.
Really?
In my pissed off stage, yeah, I will. It's they seem to be trying to play to some structure which doesn't work, and that really is frustrating because the way they play versus the structure they're trying to play don't seem to be one and the same. And I know someone out there, well, they know better than you do. Watch the way they play. It's the chaos ball. So the chaos ball doesn't rely on tall forwards leading and trying to provide, fucking clinical forward entries and that. It's really kick the ball forward, bring it to ground if you don't take a mark, and then you have the Hills, the McCrearys, the Schultzes, the Ginovans and all that. You have those small guys capitalise. So going taller is actually going against the flow of what you're doing. You didn't bring players in that are really going to appreciably improve us. I mean, be serious. There's no one there they've brought in is going to turn us into a top 2 prospect.
Well, what about down Houston? He's only got 6 months left to go on his 18-month get-to-know-us contract. And he'll learn how to the game plan in that 6 months, and he'll be able to play footy again.
Well, potentially,
have you factored him into your calculations?
Well, here's the one. We were on the Yanks podcast, and he was the one I said. No, was it his? No, on Swoop Luke's podcast, and he was the one I said that's the guy they really need to improve because he's the one elite player outside of Nick that got there. He didn't do anything last year. Again, so I'm going to fucking just keep criticising McRae. You bring down this guy, all-Australian halfback, quarterback player, and then you play Josh Dacos in his position. So why did you bring him in? And then when you have to move one of them, you move the 2-time All-Australian to the wing where Josh once got in the All-Australian squad. It doesn't make sense. I know they're going to say, but we've got our roles and we know what they want to do. Here's the guy. You've got to put him in the position he's good at and let him do his thing. Because you know what he's proven? He's shit everywhere else. You want to move him to the wing? Great. I'm sure one day he'll get 14 kicks and someone will go, we'll see you were wrong. And then he won't do anything for 8 more weeks. And then people will just shut up until he has his second good game in 20 weeks. They've got to find the improvement from within because they're not getting it from outside that group.
No. And I think that's that's what I was saying before. I think you're not really seeing anyone who looks like they've put their hand up, say, I'm going to take the next step. And look, again, it's only pre-season and all that sort of thing. I think that the structure of the 2 pracky games were all over the shop. We had probably the starting list was out against North. We got cut up in the middle, and it almost puts too much pressure in those circumstances on these up and comers to perform inside of that. Even though we only went down by a point, and North still look like they're going to be shit.
North had about 15 more shots, though.
Oh yeah, they went inside 50 about 1,000 times, and we went in 6.
But the thing is, too, you look at the Collingwood rebuilds over the last 20 years. Now, a draftee can have an immediate impact. And we saw that. You go back to 2006, Dale Thomas came into that side, immediate impact. Mm-hmm. 2007, Pendle started playing regularly, immediate impact. You move forward to 2010, Sidebottom and Beams had an impact coming in. Fast forward to 2018, you had Jaden Stevenson come in, immediate impact. He kicked 40 goals.
Ben Sinclair?
No, seriously, these are top 10 picks. They're not they're not Ben Sinclair picks. They're, guys who are meant to be the elite. You don't have that because you've pissed away all your draft picks on small forwards and futures. So I'm not expecting Printable or Schwadling or any of these guys to really come in and suddenly be provide the secret formula because it's not going to happen. They're very speculative. You're relying on Ned Long, another one, to really take the next step.
Well, actually, he did play well on the weekend, so that was encouraging.
So this is what we sort of really depend on, is these guys from inside. But
Ned started the year on fire last year and tapered off.
Well, you'd hope like an extra year in the system. Yeah. The big thing with him, the big question is the second half of the year last year, did he tire or did opposition just start putting more time into him and he couldn't match it? So this is now, he's at the crossroads of his career already where every young player would get to, because every player who comes in would immediately have be flying under the radar until the opposition realise, okay, we do have to actually watch this guy, and then they put more time into him. So then it's a case of, do I learn how to play around that, or do I not have anything else in the arsenal, and then I just keep getting taken out of games? And you see plenty of young players who come in, they look great, but then they just fade when opposition start putting that time into them. But these are the guys they need. Houston and Long. I'd be playing side bottom as a small forward. McCreary's got to be more in the middle.
There's a spot in the forward line for that.
Yeah. I'd be playing Luke Parker in the back six, moving Maynard or Quaynor into the middle to try and get some more mongrel. They've really got to protect Nick.
Yeah, I think that's a master. I think Bowes, I think we've mentioned it previously. I think he's the one that's going to have to do it in the short term.
Yeah, so
until Butters comes.
Yeah, okay. Right.
That's next week, isn't it?
If you're having to fast forward to being pissed off next year, this is what I'll say. You can get Butters, great, fantastic. Or you can get King, great, fantastic. It doesn't solve all the other problems that are going to be opening up as guys like Pendles and side bottom and Howe and Crisp and all that either retire or on the way out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holes that are about to open up in this list. And there's not the rebuild on the run that Malthouse did between 06 to 10, which replaced them on the run. Like I've mentioned this repeatedly. I recall back then I really thought the side would implode as those older guys from the 02-03 campaigns just faded out. But Malthouse he brought in, Thomas, Pendlebury, Beams, side bottom, Reed, Brown, and then he had guys like Heater and Travis Cloak and Dane Swamp. But he brought them all in on the run. And so from 06, when all those other guys started heading out, we didn't miss the finals. 06, played one final, 07 prelim, 08 on Didac Gate with the Didac Heath Shaw issue. Played, I think, 2 finals. We had that great win in Adelaide, then we lost to St Kilda. 209 made a prelim, 210 a flag. So he kept us up there because he rebuilt on the run. Right now, you haven't done this, and now maybe that's not indictment on you, but just simply the quality wasn't there. You've seen Finn McRae being delisted and he's gone the West Coast. I haven't seen any of the game, but from what I was told, Harry Demattia looks not really.
Yeah, he's very, very average. He burnt the ball a fair bit.
So,
and he was first round pick
17
3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, and he's been starved of opportunities, but he's sort of had a good year, I think, in the VFL last year. But those improvements at that level they have to start translating when you do get your opportunity in the senior side, and every appearance is an opportunity. You can't just squander them. You've really got to go out there and show something.
Yeah, I think. Look, I don't know what metrics the coaches use to gauge the young players coming up. Obviously,
I think hairstyles.
Well, that's possible, but obviously the defensive pressure is a big one. That's why Dead Long kept getting selected last year, as opposed to Finn McRae, who sort of had not great opportunities. I think when he was being selected. It'd be interesting to see how he does go at West Coast. All the best to him.
I'll be watching.
But given that Long held his position, it would suggest to me that, look, if someone ticks all the boxes, then McRae is going to give him every chance. And Demattia hasn't even had a look in. And that they use guys like Jack Bytel and Lockie Sullivan in front of him is really worrying to me.
Yeah, it's a bit of an indictment, isn't it?
Yeah, so It's funny because McRae did an interview, I think it was last week, whoever the hell it was with, and he talked about he was very bullish on Ed Allen, who we'll get to in a minute. Didn't mention Demattia once, which I thought, okay, that's telling. I didn't see Ed Allen go. I heard conflicting reports.
Yeah, look, I think it's a case of from watching the game on Sunday.
Bloody Sunday.
He has moments where he looks really good, and then he'll vanish, or he doesn't hit the contest hard enough, or doesn't run hard enough. But he'll have these moments that says, well, that's where you need to get to, and maybe it's a confidence thing or whatnot. But it's like you're not. I think we need him to do this up the curve to get where he needs to be, but he's just really just slowly just getting a little bit better. And the trouble with that path is when do you run out of patience and say, we don't have another 10 years to wait for you to come good. We need some impact now. And I think the problem with him is he would be the perfect sort of Cripps mould inside mid that has some presence around the ball, and he just doesn't seem to have any at the moment.
I'd love for them to do what Malthouse would have done. And in this situation, Malthouse, when we played Carlton, he would have put Allen on Cripps. And he would have said, that's the model. You learn from him. And if you don't have it to do that, then you have no place in this side. This sort of easing him in gradually is not working for him. He's just feels like he needs to be thrown into the deep end and go, you're in the middle. I'll give you 4 weeks. you cement your spot. You are 6'2" or whatever the hell he is. You're about 85 kilos, it looks like. You're bigger than most players. Hit packs hard. Don't hit him like, don't hit him like you're afraid you're going to break. Because this is the game you're playing. You are going to be in a very physical game. And maybe he just needs to be shown. Like I always tell the story about in 2000 when the Hawthorn coach was Peter Schrobb at that time, but asked for a volunteer to tag Buckley, and Daniel Chick put his hand up. And
half a finger up.
Oh, that came later.
Came off.
Yeah. Trying to touch it behind. But Dermot Brennan talks about like post-game, Hawthorn smashed us, but he said like Daniel Chick was just doubled over and just goes, I can't believe anyone can run that much. Because Buckley just kept going and going. And Brereton said that showed Chick what it takes to be an elite player at an elite level. And that's what I think Allen needs. You can't mollycoddle him in the VFL because, like Finn McRae did, you get to a stage, you're just too good for that level. You're not going to learn anything more from it. In fact, you're probably just going to learn bad habits because you're going to be too good for it.
It is a sort of, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, and I cited Weston as an example of, someone that looks like they're tracking really well in the VFL. Said Demetina, how do we spell his name? Demetina. He's looking like he's been progressing well in the VFL. But as soon as they then jump into that senior position, they look lost a little bit. And it's like, okay, it can't be, it's a step up, but it can't be that big a step that you can't run and find space or you can't do the odd thing. It's just like every time you get the ball, you look like you're under pressure.
I don't know. I mean, like one thing is with Demetia, Alan, not so much. I mean, you're playing in a league now which is faster and stronger.
Like the $6 million man.
Well, I doubt Dimitia's lining up against any Patrick Cripps, or,
in the VFL,
or Raul, or
surely not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you come up and you're playing against these big bodies. Now it's how much you embrace the contest. So if you look at you go back to Dale Thomas and Scott Pendlebury, when they played, they just played like this is my level.
Mm.
And Pendle's only played I think about 8 or 10 games in that first season, and I think he had like glandular or something at the start of the year, but. I recall one game against Brisbane, which we won. It was when Buckley kicked 6. But I remember Pendles are just trying to waltz out of the defensive 50. And I think it might have been, I want to say Ackermanis, but I reckon he would have been gone by then. But someone tackled him and he dropped the ball. And it was like, people would have been like, oh, fuck, you're in another league now. You got to, you can't just relax. But for me, it was like, good, because he was trying to do something. He was trying to make play. That's what I always look for. You're trying to create play. We're doing those lazy layoffs to someone just 1 meter away like Chris Mayne used to do.
You're playing it safe.
Yeah. So honestly, these guys are trying to seize their opportunity and trying to make something happen. And Dale Thomas did that. The moment he went into that side, he tried to make things happen time and time and time.
Mm.
Dale Thomas is not remembered for the skill and ability he had up to 2012. I always say 2009, 2010, 2011, definitely. He was like Nat Fyfe, but he had more X factor than Nat Fyfe. He was quick, he could kick goals, he could mark really well. And he did his ankle in 2012, and then he just sort of came way down to the pack. But before that, he was the best player in the league at one stage.
Mm.
And that might have been because he was in a really good side and all that, but he was a really daring player who took the game on and had a lot of weapons. Now, Allen doesn't have the speed of Daisy, but you're a big-bodied mid. You should be in there throwing your... look at Maynard. Look at the way he plays.
Mm.
So I'd really love to see with Allen for them to just go, hey, we're going to put you on Cripps, or we're going to put you on Raul, whoever it is, you watch how they play. Or even, look for someone like Tom Liberatore, who's smaller but still attacks the ball with, great tenacity. He's ready to go. Where's he fit nowadays? He's fit for a change. Haley Thomas also passing.
Did you say to go? Yeah. I haven't seen any of him this year. I heard he did well in the first practice game, but he was off by the time I managed to tune in. And obviously didn't play this weekend. But the track watchers are saying that he's fit and firing. He's driving a tractor on the weekends. He's got a newborn. He's obviously a changed man. He's like Jim Carrey. Maybe it's a body double.
He's a clone.
The real Degoe is just gone off and he's laying on a haystack with a piece of hay coming out of his mouth, just enjoying life. And the other guy can play football that just looks enough like him, is firing.
Well,
Maybe that's a new tactic McRae's come up with.
clones.
Cloning.
Attack of the clones.
Has he got a fleet of ships in a cloud that he's going to pull out against St Kilda?
Well, I heard that's why they lost in the weekend, because they don't like sand, because it's rough.
Yeah.
Where's he play, forward or midfield?
Oh, midfield.
Yeah.
We need some mature body around. I mean, the thing is, and I was thinking about it before when you're doing all your talking, it's like, I think we all acknowledge that the way that the list management was last year with blokes that were perfectly fit being rested and fucking the ins and outs, just none of it made any sense. I don't think two things. I don't think you're going to repeat that way that we managed the list this year. Mismanage the list. And the second thing is you've got to get games into some of these kids. Now, I think without shadow of a doubt that the round zero, it's round zero, isn't it? The round zero side will be as many mature players as McRae can put in there, with maybe one or two younger kids. That's fine for the first game, but moving forward, how are you going to bring? Because you've got a whole bunch of exoduses happening in the next year or two, more than likely at the end of this season. So there's a swathe of positions there that you're going to have to cover for. You got key defenders, you got midfielders, you probably got a small forward. You can't bring them all in and just say, okay, well, you're going to have 1 or 2 weeks and then you're all going to disappear again. You're going to have to keep them in there and keep them in there for an extended period. But there's a lot of positions there to cater for.
This is my big problem. Crisp is another one. They should play midfield as a big body. Again, you get the best out of him as a midfielder, but then they play him other places. This is the thing. The biggest issue for mine, and people call us, especially me, haters, is like, what the fuck was Will Hoskin-Elliott doing for 2 years? What the fuck is Patrick Lipinski doing in that side when he's not performing? I know everyone had a little wank about his 450 entries because he had like about 3 weeks when he hit targets. It's pretty easy to hit targets when you're 50 metres away from all the opposition because you don't want to get anywhere near congestion. I could hit a target from 50. He plays so outside. He gets his instructions from Ticketek. He's the fucking loosest, lightest player. And that's fine because there's roles for those players. But the thing is, when they're not doing their job, then you know what? Drop them, make them re-earn their position back, and then bring someone in who's going to be given that opportunity. And that should apply to everyone. And this is like, going back to 2023, we used to talk about it, is when Sidebottom was, I think he had like the knee for 6 weeks, and then the goalie had like the 6-week suspension because he ran into the West Coast. That was the time they say to him, Finn McRae, go, here's 4 weeks. You're going to play in the midfield. And that was a time to sort of look at the signing. Look, we're good enough to probably carry this kid if it's going to take him a couple of weeks to find the tempo. Didn't do it. So these are the ones that really frustrate me. I don't have any, fucking play them all until they're 45 if they're performing. But there are guys in there who patently haven't performed, and that should have been dropped really, really a lot earlier. And then there's just the mystifying, sorry, I'm just because this frustrates me. Is like the fucking Charlie Dean thing too. You picked up Frampton to be that defender, and then in 2024 you go, well, Billy, you're a premiership player. You can sit in the VFL. We're going to try Charlie Dean, who has not played a game for 2 years, in defence for the first 4 weeks. Or, look, Frampton's now finding his feet as a defender. Let's play him as the relief ruck. It does not make sense. It's not, instead of like fixing or trying to address one position, you're robbing from a position that's working. So now you have to correct 2 fucking issues, which is the ruck and the defender that you're taking, Frampton away from. So it just sort of seems like a lot of it. You hear like about McRae's coaching that it's very, very regimented, that like everyone has roles and lanes to run in and shit like that. But that's the way it feels like he treats the players positionally in terms of selection. It's like, well, this is the guy that's going to do that job, and damn if I'm ever going to drop him.
No, I mean, there's going to be obviously some hands forced this year, so because of the outs that we have. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it managed. It's hard to get a picture in your head about knowing. Look, there's no track record there that you can reliably say, well, I think he'll do this, this, or this. It's going to be a little bit haphazard. Is the gut feel that you have?
I reckon he's going to stay as fixed to it as he can.
Yeah, which would be disappointing because it's not for the betterment of this side. Do you think we can contend this year?
Look, I think we can contend this year, but I mean, it's going to rely on so many things going right, which means, look, you look at the first half of last year, I would have said play the grand final in June, would have won it. And then the second half of the year, for various reasons, everything fell apart and we really struggled. Now, can you get all the old guys to perform until September, until the preliminary final? Totally. Now, that's going to take a lot of luck. Again, going back to the selections that we just talked about, the resting of players, I think they were just manufacturing flirtation with form, because you were just replicating what would happen in the season when you had a string of little niggling injuries and you couldn't settle that starting 18. You were doing that by design, and that, I think, really destabilized them. It should really be the case, in my opinion. Like, I don't mind saying, okay, we've got a 38-year-old guy, we're going to give him every 10 weeks off or whatever. Like, again, Maltas did in 2006 with Buckley. But you can't do it with fucking 8 players.
No.
It's 1 or 2 and that's it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it works, or if it works.
Did you agree if Kane scorns that fucking...
What's he said?
Well, what hasn't he said? He said, FAB, Dad.
Gosh.
He was just talking about, like, in the practice match, we should have been playing a senior side, but instead we played a side full of kids. And everyone's in an uproar now. It's like, he's the one saying we should be blooding kids. Now he's saying we should be playing a senior side.
So the funny thing is you go back over seasons prior, you used to have your pracky games. You had 1 or 2 of them. Then you went into the Ansett Cup. And so you had a bit more of a chance to run your more established side in a pre-season competition leading into, before we invented the genius of round 0 into round 1. What now? We just have fucking 2 practice games, you're straight into it.
Yeah.
Are you erring on the side of the cautions with some of the blokes that are almost not there, or almost there rather, like Moore and stuff, that apparently he carved it up at training today? He's looking fit and firing, but he's a question mark was a question mark for round 0. We know Howe's not going to play and all that sort of stuff. So do you look at those and say, well, it's not worth risking them in the game? But the thing is, you're not really replicating match-like conditions running around at training. You don't have the same pressure and intensity, the same willingness to go in and tackle hard. You don't want to hurt your teammates, and you subsequently don't want to get hurt as well. There's a lot of that. I thought, with the game on Sunday, that there was a fair element of bruise-freeness about it. It ramped up a little bit when it got close, and I think that natural desire to want to win overtook both sides for about 5 minutes at the end. But other than that, it's, again, are you missing out because you don't play them, or did you want to get some game time into them? Like, even when I think we had the 2 pracky games, we only ran blokes for about a half or maybe 3/4 on some, and then we swapped them. So, like, I think in this one, Cochrane, Jath, and someone else came in just for that last quarter. And then you think, well, they're the ones who are probably potentially looking to fill positions based on height, and you've given them no great run. Look, it's a hard, to say whether it's right or wrong. Look, the pracky games, you don't really give them that much credence. But you got nothing to go into that season now to really get that run in.
Yeah, I didn't mind what he said. I thought people took it the wrong way, because he's not being a hypocrite in saying, I've been telling you to blood youth. Now you're playing youth. I think he was just saying you got to be as close to your round 0 team for that synergy, and you haven't had any of that. So that's what you should be playing. You should be playing a side that's pretty much going to be taking the field round 0, and they should, have that chemistry established. So on the flip side of that, you go back to last year again. I mean, outside of that, we got smashed in round 0, but then, won the next 10 or whatever the fuck.
I don't think we've ever won a round 0, have we?
No. All 2 of them.
I think that's why it's called round 0 for us.
But, the first half of the year we played really well, and then we faded. So I'd really like the looks of maybe we start slow and build strong.
Oh, yeah, look, I'm a big...
Adam Simpson.
It's the way the Brisbane's tackled every season. They look like this is it, they're done. And then all of a sudden they just get ahead of steam and they smash it home.
They look finished in 2024 when they were like 0-5, whatever the hell they were. Adam Simpson apparently said we'll be 1-5 after 6 rounds.
Did he? You said that, did he?
Yeah, you're fucking an idiot, Adam. We'll be 0-6. So he will show you.
Was he sitting on the couch with Homer at the time?
I don't know. Probably watching the 2018 grand final. Did you see that game?
Who? What? 2018 grand final? I've seen it in my nightmares.
Let's bring up something really sensitive.
What, the 2018 grand final?
Bobby Hill.
Who's he?
That's a good question.
He used to play for Collingwood, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mm.
Now he's just somebody I used to know.
Yeah, he's a Clayton's Collingwood player.
What do you think of Bobby Hill? And you can speak as indelicately as you've spoken behind the scenes.
Well, look, I see it quite simple because I'm a simple man. If you're paid to play, you're paid to play. He's not turning up to training. He's going to be horrendously out of condition in any stretch of the imagination.
We'll need triple blood.
I don't see. Look, I'm a simple man. Look, if I've had marital woes and I'm separated from my wife, I'm never going into work to say, do you mind if I have the next 9 months off? Is that too much trouble? Well, when do you think you'll be back? Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's just play that by ear. It doesn't work that way. And I know this is a sport. It's a different sort of thing, but it's still a place of employment. Footballers will tell you, it's a different thing to supporting a club to being there. It's a job for them. Now, if it's a fucking job, maybe turn up to it once in a while. That's my nasty side of it coming out to say that I think you should be out there. You're not injured. I think the best way to work through these issues is have the people around you and try and get back to a sense of normal and just being away for all this time. And what's he fucking doing away? What's he doing to get better? We don't know anything. So it could be intense therapy. Could be just sitting on your ass doing nothing. It's just not communicated well. This is a bloke we want out there, and I think that's the real frustrating part. That you just want to see him play.
Yeah. Do you think clubs mishandled how they've dealt with him, or dealt with the supporter base in explaining how to deal? Look, and let's just say, like, we're operating on the premise that, as far as we know, it's a relationship breakdown. So I'm not going to incorporate any of the rumors of anything else happening. So it's just a relationship breakdown. So there might be other stuff we don't know, and if that's the case, then we apologise but that's what we're using, because I don't want to drag in scurrilous rumours and because we've had a lot of bullshit around it.
The other frustrating thing, just thinking about it, is that to go he goes and consensually touches someone that's a friend of his, and the world fucking falls apart. He's hounded. The press is all over him. Bobby's been given such a wide berth. The club's making no comment. McRae really just doesn't say anything other than, well, when he's ready, we'll put our arms around him, all that sort of thing. The media is not chasing him or anything like that. He's just got freedom to have this to go on as long as possible.
I mean, you mentioned 9 months, so it's effectively like about 9 months since he's gone out.
When did he last play? It was in that Brisbane game.
He played briefly in that Brisbane game, but he missed a whole bunch before that.
Yeah, then he came back for one and then vanished again.
For like a sub. But the thing is, it might be 9 months to date. Now, we might be off by a month or whatever, but
I made 9 months up. I'm guessing it's that.
But it's about that. It was about mid last year.
It's about half the time that you give to Dan Houston and Lachie Schultz to learn the game plan.
No, what I was just going to say is, we're saying 9 months, but let's say it's 9 months, okay? That's 9 months as of today. For him to get back in the side, that's another 3 months. So
at a minimum.
Yeah, at a minimum. So you're talking about like a year. Just based on what we're being told, look, everyone has relationships breakdowns and life goes on, and I understand they gave you a lot of room last year to deal with it, and it's probably time you dealt with it. And I know people are going to say that's insensitive,
but that's the way we get on with things. It's I know it sounds harsh, and you got to be cautious about what you say these days, but really, it doesn't do you any good to keep stewing over things forever. You've got to find a point where you pull yourself back in and return to normal, because you want a normal life. No one wants to be this down and.
I mean, the flip side of it is, I'd applaud him more if he said, again, I'm just working on the premise we're using. If he said, I quit, I'm going to West Australia to be near my children, even if my relationship's going to be broken. Work out a deal for me at the end of the year or whatever. I would rather he committed to taking that sort of course of action. He sort of seems to be in limbo of like, I'm not quite a player, I'm not quite leaving, because that, look, I don't know what they've said to him inside, behind closed doors. They might have said, get your shit together, or we'll give you as much time as you want. Don't know. But as we're going into this 9 to 12 month sort of time frame, it is like, look, people have relationship breakdowns and you can fall apart for a little while, but you can't stay there. And at some point, you got to give him tough love, or just say, pack your bags and go. You're no longer fulfilling your contract. We'll still support you as much as you need, but you're not going to be on this playing list anymore because we are trying to plan for the future. And the way playing lists are nowadays, it's like, well, can we afford, to hold a position for a player who's not trying to play?
No, you saw with Hugo Hagen that if it is broken beyond the point of fixing, then you can negotiate an end, because we signed him up on that.
We signed him up, and then it was like 2 weeks later then he dropped out. So I mean, that's really interesting too, because did they know? Did they see that? Were they warned? Did they think this was going to give him a sense of security and he'd avoid this? The club hasn't communicated any of this, so the media hasn't covered any of it.
And that's the thing. I think everyone has their opinions, and everybody's dissecting it in the background. With you'll be constructive and you'll be understanding, and then other days you'll get angry about it because you just don't fucking know. And I don't. It's not that we have a right to know or anything like that.
No.
But this is where. But you got someone that you need out there, and you want to see them out there, and you want to see them well at the same time, and get all the ducks aligned with the mental side, the body, and all that, and go out and kick fucking goals and make everyone happy and make yourself happy.
Outside of sport, if he had any other employees, so whether he was working in IT, he was working as a landscaper, he was working collecting garbage, he was working in government, any other job, would they have said, yes, take the next 9 to 12 months?
Oh, look, I've worked with people in the past that have had issues, but you're surrendering your income, though, when you're doing it. Okay, they're holding the position there for you, but they're not paying you for it. And I don't know whether we're paying him or how it works in AFL with the contract side of things, but if you're not turning up to work, then surely you don't get paid. So how's he living day to day? That's the case. These are the things you don't, and we don't need to know or have to know, but it's just stuff that you just go through your head. This doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, again, we don't know. So we don't know circumstances. Again, we might be totally ignorant.
I think we're ignorant.
Yeah, but again,
being ignorant.
That's why I prefaced it with the qualification that just based on it being a relationship breakdown, I would say at some point the club's got to say, look, if you want to be closer to your family, we'll facilitate that. If you're going to be here, you need to start thinking about playing. You need to start putting that on your agenda. We can't have you in the middle of both worlds. You got to choose one, and you got to commit to that. And it might be the wrong choice or whatever. We'll fully support you. And even if it's like, well, we'll send you to West Australia, and you can live there for 3 months. And then if you find, oh no, you do want to come back and play, we'll still have you. We'll still have a spot. It just doesn't seem like any of that's going on. Again, it might be. We don't know.
No.
But it really just seems to stayed in limbo, this purgatory for 9 months.
I think it's time that he just takes a phone call to the club and they say, look, pick up your Collingwood backpack and get in a plane.
Thomas McGowan, we skipped him at the draft.
Yeah.
And then Adelaide skipped him at the draft.
Where's he playing now? For the Burwood or something?
I don't know.
The Coburg or something, I think it is. That's landed.
Stevenson.
Yeah, look, I mean, I never got really... look, I think it's wishful thinking that, you're going to have another father-son that was, touted as the calibre of close to being Nick-like and all that sort of thing. And you go, well, that's fucking perfect. That's what we need. But then when you saw him play, it's going, I'm saying it. I'm not saying it. And I'm still seeing more of you, and I'm still not saying it. You just looked vanilla midget.
Well, it's interesting. You went from like a first rounder to a second rounder to maybe a late 50s to potentially a rookie pick to here, come train with us as an afterthought to we're not going to give you a spot either.
Now, Tom, we want you to come to training, and when these guys look sweaty, you give them a towel.
It just, what is it like? Is it just size? Is it?
I don't think he lacks the Kurgay or anything like that to attack the footy and all that sort of thing. I think it just really does come down to the size and just looks a bit plain. Look, and he may just need to go back and come back later. I mean, he's still young. He was underage, I think, which also, it doesn't help. But sometimes you're just not ready either, and you need to go back and retool your craft and have another crack at it later. I think. Look, I don't know this, but it sort of feels like that Mick used what influence he had to pump him up in the media, and then he just wasn't good enough yet. And then when he got found out, and everyone found out.
Yeah, it'll be interesting come the mid-season draft if he's on anyone's radar. Same with Jaden Stevenson. Jaden Stevenson expressed the desire to play, yet he trained with Port and they overlooked him. So he obviously, we talked about it, he obviously has the skill to play. But what are they seeing that they're going? I mean, it'd be really interesting to actually learn from a club. What are you seeing?
This is what I said to you guys the other day, is that it's never been a question of skill. We know he's highly skilled. It's a question of application with him. And one game does not a summer make. he needs to go out there and hit it hard and do this week in, week
Well, he
out
did
and
that-
show commitment.
Well, he did that at North. He said, I'm going to show Collingwood in that first game. He had about 25 possessions and kicked a couple of goals and had all these hard ball, contested ball wins. And then it just gradually faded to where it was like, oh, what are you doing? And I actually recall like Buckley was talking about, I can't remember who the player was. But there was some player like who was going off and was ranting, and Buckley says, I'd rather have that like showing, it means something to him than someone like Jaden Stevenson. It was like, oh, okay. Well, so what are you saying?
Ouch.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to know what they see.
And that's the other thing with him too. Is not that I'm advocating, heavily that we should look at him again or anything like that. But do you think, knowing what everyone says about Bucks, he's all over you up until you're used to him, and then he'll drop you, which I think Stevenson probably experienced. I don't know what playing under Clarko would be like, but I imagine he's probably cut from a similar cloth. It'd be interesting to see how he would have developed under McRae. I think it would have been a better experience for him, but you don't know, and you don't want to risk
So, I heard like
doing it. But I reckon he, under that type of environment, he might have come along, or would have come along a little bit better now.
It's interesting because I heard like under Buckley that Pendlebury was trying to mentor Stevenson, and Stevenson just sort of blew him off. And that was the headspace he was
like
in.
Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You keep calling him Leonard?
Yeah, but like, because it was that COVID period where you had 2 years of lockdown. Thanks, Dan.
What happened there?
And I don't know how easily he coped, with living in those hubs during those ridiculous seasons that we had. So you don't know how much that impacted his development also. From what he's shown as a forward, he's potentially elite.
Mm.
He hasn't really shown anything elsewhere. And I recall when we first got him, Buckley was talking about like he'd come through the halfback, he'd come through the midfield, and that never seemed to evolve. So they obviously saw something in him that concerned them, or that like maybe he didn't have the work rate. I recall this weird comparison, but I recall like Rene King talking on open mic, I think it was, or some interview. So Rene King, for younger listeners, played in the 70s and 80s.
And he also sung the song Lola.
Oh my God. But he was like, sort of like the Goey, but just bigger and nastier and stronger. And on his
Like the Hulk.
Yes, and that was his nickname. And on his day, he was unstoppable. He was just as good as anyone in the league on his day.
Like Ben Sinclair.
Yeah, but he said, but like he'd lose interest in the middle of the game. He'd just lose interest and fade out of it.
But he saw a seagull.
Yeah, something like that. So that's maybe it just came too easy to him at times. Like I remember the games he tore apart, like the 1980 first semi against Carlton. He just ripped them apart in the second half. But I just wonder with players like, who got that talent, whether it does become too easy and they don't stay stimulated and challenged, and then they just sort of drift away. And again, it doesn't have to be by a lot, but just enough to.
And maturity, can play a role in all this too. Look, if it's a wake-up call to him and he really wants it bad enough, then he just knows he's going to have to do the hard work to get it back.
Let me ask you some other things.
Why don't you ask me another thing?
Did you watch the state game?
Did I watch it? Yeah, I think I did, yeah.
Victoria versus Australia. What do you think of the state game? Because Eddie Maguire is trying to push this to a 2-week carnival now.
How's it? Oh, I didn't hear this. How does that work?
Oh, well, fuck. They play each other and then you rotate or whatever. So I don't know.
What, do you sit and rotate or?
I don't know. But what do you think of the state of origin concept returning?
Oh, look, I didn't mind it. The thing with these things is no matter which way you look at it, you don't want anyone to go out there and get hurt in a nothing game. But then you can get hurt in a nothing game playing North. So I mean,
yeah, but that's what everyone's saying, and that, no offense, really pisses me off. Because
do you want me to take it back?
Yeah, I do.
I'll take it back.
Because this is the stuff that Eddie started pushing, and this is what, like, when Jacob Wettering went down, and then Brian Tyler's going, you could get injured anywhere,
well, this is everyone's biggest fear come true, and that before you even knew what was wrong.
Tom Green from GWS had just got an ACL. It's like, yeah, but hang on. Now put the qualification on it. They get injured in the service to your club.
Thank you for your service.
Not to some bullshit exhibition game. So, like, I'd hate it if you get injured in the practice game or a training, which we've seen. but at least it's for my club. It's not for some fucking ridiculous thing. This is the same as saying, hey, I went and played an indoor cricket game and I did an ACL. But people get injured, so deal with it. So this is like, I don't like that qualification. It's like, okay, fine. Well, let's just fucking let them do whatever the fuck they want. As a footballer, you have a commitment to your club, which means you monitor your diet. You don't go out late and go on the piss and all that. You don't fucking do drugs like some players and shit like that. You are doing everything you can to get the best out of yourself for your club, not for some fucking bullshit exhibition game, which means nothing to nobody in a competition which is full of state games every fucking week. So that's just me. I really hate the concept. You're an idiot, Eddie, for continually pushing it.
Was it popular? Did it rate well? Because was it a sellout or anything? I can't remember.
It was 58,000.
I did a fair bit of drinking out on the deck that night.
James Brayshaw pointed out the crowd for the thing. I'm sure it rated well, being the only thing Australian rules game in February and a novelty concept.
But these are all the measures for success those days.
But what's the team? So in prior years, you chose the players who were playing the best for that season, and they got into each state side. So what's the criteria for selection now? Is it just who we think the best players are?
I believe so, yeah.
But then that's compromised by, where was Jeremy Cameron? He'd be one of the best players in Victoria.
Well, you still reserve the right not to play in it, wouldn't you? He's not ready?
Oh, well, that's the thing. He's injured. Now, we don't know if he's injured or not. In the past, like at state games, you had sort of players say, oh, he's got a niggle. If you can reserve the right not to play, then what's the fucking point of this game then?
Well, the other thing is, too, is if you're only going to play 2 games, and I can't remember who it was at the end said, I think it's here to stay. Cripps or something, I think it was. But you're also implying that it's going to be Victoria every year. So you're going to play maybe South Australia next year, then go back to WA. So, but if you're going to have to do it properly, which is probably what Eddie's talking about, is you got Vic versus WA, WA versus SA, SA versus Vic, and those two play each other as well without Vic involved. That's the only probably fair and equitable way to do it. But then it does become a week.
Yeah, go on.
A week-long thing.
Yeah. The other thing, cast your mind back to 2008.
I can't think back to yesterday.
But you came to 2008. We had that Allies versus Victoria game.
Oh, Josh Fraser did his PCL.
Josh Fraser was having the best season he potentially had for Collingwood. He did his PCL in that fucking game.
They'd actually stamped his name on the Brownlow by that stage.
And he was never quite the same again after that. So this is what I'm sort of saying is all right, if it happens for Collingwood, I understand. But for a nothing fucking game and to compromise now Collingwood season because we've lost him, and then you have Guy Richards and Chris Bryan rocking from memory back then. This is what really frustrates me, and this I actually think, and it's obviously a concerted effort by the AFL. So Eddie Maguire, James Hird said originally when they were floating the state game, but players get injured at training and blah blah blah. Brian Taylor said it. People keep peddling it. And it's actually a really subtle form of brainwashing. They just keep saying it until you parrot it fucking back.
Yeah, and then people get injured at training.
Yeah, for your club. So that's really annoying. Nick Dacos not getting the medal for...
Yeah, it was an odd one. I wonder what the narrative there really, really means. If you
the umpires voted him best on ground, or had him best on ground.
If you want to be cynical about it, what keeps you talking about something after something's finished? It's some form of controversy. Now, he probably well and truly deserved to be best on ground. They gave it to who? Some
Ash from
Evil Dead.
Yeah, Evil Dead.
Yeah. So they gave it to him. Hail to the king, baby. They gave it to him, and we all got to talk about it and vent our outrage for a week or two. Keeps you talking leading into the system. Start of the season, the system of a down. I think there's probably an element of truth to that.
I actually think, I said this to you previously, I think they were really concerned about the optics of this player going up, getting a medal at presentation and being booed, being just a bad look.
You say
their showcase game.
There's a bunch of racists in WA.
Yeah, they hate Macedonians.
You only boo when you're racist.
Yeah. So they were booing him constantly. I just think they thought this is going to look bad if he goes up, gets a medal, and he gets booed. This is meant to be a showcase game. It's meant to be showing, the nature of the sport and, how united we are, all this bullshit. So it would have been a really, really bad look. I did see Gary Lyon talk on SEN, just saying the thing with the midfielders is they got burned defensively. Like WA kicked all these goals against them. And he was just saying that Ash was intercepting at really vital times during the game. He was the one sort of player that...
That's what Scott said as well, I think. But he said it looked like he was reading from a script.
I will say this with Chris Scott. His use of Nick Dacos I thought was brilliant. In that first half, he played Nick more forward, sort of coming up as a high half forward, because he had like these big bodies in the middle like Cripps. And then when the game started to open up more, Nick got more midfield time, so he didn't have to rely on physicality. He could actually rely on his run,
yep.
which I thought was, I mean, obviously in the state game, Chris Scott has some pretty good options to go to, like Bont and Raul and Butters. You know,
and Sinclair. Did he go to him?
Yeah, so McRae doesn't have that.
Butters is coming to Collingwood.
Yeah, haven't you heard that?
What time's he arriving?
Butters, King, and...
What, Butters from South Park's coming to Collingwood? That's who we end up with.
That's who we end up with, totally. Rule changes.
Oh, what are they? This, before you even bring it up, this fucking ruck rule. Does anyone understand what the fuck is going on?
No one understood.
I don't think even the people who made the rule up understand what's going on. It's just ridiculous. I mean, they were praising. Did you see the footage of Grundy
where he stopped and
he fucking hesitated. He ended up with a free. He looked more surprised than anyone. And I don't think he deliberately did that to try and draw his opponent over the line. He just got there and goes, I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing.
If you're seeing Grundy ruck at Collingwood for 7 years and at Melbourne for 1 year, he runs and jumps about 4 weeks early, still 180 games in his career. And that's what he did. He ran and he was just really early and he stopped like, oh shit, I've totally mistimed this. And that's the only reason he stopped and he won a free. Then there was the... I can't remember which ex-AFL player said it, but he just predicted there's going to be a rise in knee injuries because players are going to be jumping into each other and banging, and I think there was a knee injury. These ruck rules, again, the AFL just loves to address what they believe the aesthetic of the game should be.
Because they did another one in the Pracky games about in between the arcs.
Oh, yeah, if it goes out.
Yeah. But then, you can defensively spoil the ball and it goes out, and that's okay. So you can't even make a blanket rule.
No.
You're putting it's straight off the bat because it's always worked so well to have fucking subsets to these rules about. And like half the time they're going, oh fuck, is it my free or what's going on? And then the umpires do this little fucking Benny Hill tap on their heads or something now to signify what this infringement's been paid. It's like, oh come on.
Have they improved the goal arc technology?
No, because you know what you can do with it is you set the camera up so no matter what, you're looking at the fucking post and not where the ball is. It's genius.
So they've introduced all these other rules, but they haven't addressed the things that have been issues since they've been introduced, like the fact you're still using some blurry Radio Shack fucking videotape camera to pause footage.
I reckon the hardest thing about that is making sure that the camera's USB cord stays stuck in. Fucking hell.
It's... this new one, the protector zone, the 5 meters.
Just on this though, whatever happened to that fucking swishometer thing that destroyed about 3 of our games, and the snickometer or whatever it is when the ball touches, just fucking vanished.
Well, I guess they found it fucking didn't work, and they just didn't want to acknowledge it. This 5 minute zone, protector zone.
Well, I didn't see any instances of this, so
I haven't seen it, but like on print, so
that one, that just seems ridiculous. I think again, it's hard to interpret what it's meant to be doing. So anyone within 5 meters has to stand like a statue. Is the way you interpret it, and no one can move until they call play on.
Yeah, so the guy with the ball can move, so he can just walk around.
Well, that comes in handy.
He can just go dance around them.
Can he walk up to them inside of 5 meters? And go woo woo.
If a big pack raises for a mark and one guy takes it and all the others fall on the ground, do they have to stay on the ground?
They have to stay exactly where they are. So if they're halfway between hitting the ground, they have to freeze.
So they have to... Because no, this is the contradiction of the rule. So if you're in the protector zone, you need to stay where you are. But then if the umpire's telling you to clear out, then aren't you just doing what you used to do last year and every other fucking year? What happens if someone dives on the ball and 4 players jump on him?
Well, the ball explodes and everybody flies backwards.
But I'm trying to work out how this rule works. It's like, at what point do you say, no, stop, now everyone, you're in the 5 meters, you've got to stop, as opposed to the umpire getting the fuck out of the way? Or does the umpire going, you were too close, you can no longer go for him, you need to stand away?
I'm tipping, and just hear me out here because this is a radical observation. that these rules will be paid for about the first 3 weeks,
Yeah.
and then they'll vanish.
These rules make as much sense as anything written by Alex Kurtzman.
We need more diversity in these rules and representation.
I love the way the AFL just determines this is going to make the game look better, and then, as you said, they will, be fucking obsessive about it for about 3-4 weeks, and then it'll just disappear. And then about 10 weeks in, there'll be one where they just pay randomly, and you go, "Oh, that's right, that exists." Remember, like the umpire dissent rule? They thought they were paying it at the start for just scowling and shit. They're going, "You don't give the umpire a dirty look." And then about 15 weeks later, someone's ripping into the umpire, and you're like, yeah, okay. And he walks off, and the commentators go, well, where's the dissent there? All these rules that the AFL loves introducing for, I don't know, on moral reasons or aesthetical reasons.
I think that is exactly what the title of the umpiring report is. Fuck, I don't know.
Well, they've done a great job with the people they have in charge. I mean, it's always great.
Was it Beavis and Butthead?
Well, you had Laura Kane there.
Well, I'm right then.
But then they brought in Greg Song, which is sort of like an indictment. Well, you're not doing your job well enough, so we're going to bring someone in to be like oversight. And it's like, well, maybe you should just get rid of her and give him the job. Or if you trust her to do the job,
can't do that.
Don't have Greg Swan in there at all. I mean, it doesn't make. These are the sort of things they do. Is they always like put a bandage on the fucking wound and just go, well, that'll hold it for about 2 weeks.
That bloody stump will be fine.
That's what it is. It's like the fucking Black Knight in Monty Python.
Tis but a scratch.
We're playing the Midas and Kilda.
Favourites, yeah. Do you know what I love the most about this club? They're financially fucking hemorrhaging, and they don't seem to care that they have a salary cap. They just throw a bunch of money at people, and suddenly they're contenders. Because it's worked so well for them in the past. Pricks.
Well, pressure's on them. The Tom De Koning one. Is it Tom? Which one is it?
I think, well, there's
20 the Carlton De Koning one. The only reason I liked that was just because it pissed off Carlton. I don't know why you spend $1.7 million on a ruckman. Did you learn nothing from Brody Grant?
Hang on. No, obviously not.
Well, but the funny thing is, someone at St Kilda said, Tom De Koning, if it is Tom De Koning, let's get him. Meanwhile, Brisbane's won back-to-back flags if Darcy fought. Maybe you should have thrown $1.7 million at Darcy fought and not worried about Tom De Koning. Or you probably could have thrown $700,000 at Darcy fought and got him over. Which and no offense to Darcy
and
fought,
paid back some of your debt.
But if you look at like all the ruckmen, outside of Max Gorman for the last 10 years, where you have like Nan Curvis and
Ben Sinclair,
Reece Stanley, I think it was his premiership ruck and Blitzarse were the two ruckmen at Collingwood. It was Cameron and Cox.
Blitzarse and Cox.
Nan Curvis and I don't know, did Solo was he
Han Solo?
Yeah, Ben McAvoy.
I would have thought Chewy would have been more of a ruckman.
And Darcy fought. Yep. So what do you think about this game?
We'll get our asses handed to us.
You think?
Yeah, well, it's because we haven't played anyone, given anyone a senior run in the practice games.
One thing I'll say about, in defence of...
Corns is right.
Of our coach.
He's a very insightful individual.
I think the difference with like sides like Brisbane and Collingwood, sides that have been up there for a little while, Geelong, is they know their shit. So when it comes down to it, you just set them loose and they should hopefully do their thing. It doesn't need rigorous programming of it. I mean, St Kilda's... who were the three guys they recruited were De Koning? I mean, he'll be useful for them, but that Rowan Marshall was good enough, I thought.
And now he's not a match winner.
Sorry?
He's not a match winner or nothing.
No, but then you get like Jack Stefani, is he playing?
Oh, well, allegedly. I don't know.
I don't know. Because he did a groin or something, so...
Did he?
Well, I don't know.
It's probably a joke here.
No, I'm not going to go for jokes in this. And then you have that Liam Ryan. There's a really good small forward who I would have went after. It's like you've had 3 players. I don't know how much they're really going to improve you.
Oh.
Jack Silvani will be really useful. Liam Ryan will be a really good small forward. Max King, is he playing or did he do another injury?
One of them's injured, isn't it?
What's Max all the time?
Yeah, is it?
That's the one we got.
Miracle Max. Why don't we go after him instead of his brother?
I'm sure we got his name on the contract somewhere. I heard we had like a 4-year contract in front of him. When he did his knee, they put it up to 7.
Why don't we have both Kings?
We have.
We'd be like a chessboard.
Yeah. Your tip for this game?
Look, I think we'll give it a shake. I'm probably not expecting us to win, but I don't think we'll get belted. I think it'll be maybe a couple of goals to the Saints, just because they're all full of hype, and I'm not sure where we're at yet. So I think we'll play a little bit like that.
I think we'll win by 17 points.
Oh, okay. 17, huh?
I think the bridge between where we were last year and the flag, it doesn't exist in the list unless we really get that sort of organic improvement or some sort of tactical renovation by McRae, which I just can't see happening.
No.
But I think they're still going to be well coached enough and so regimented. They should still, be a top 8 side. And you'd hope that they are still going to I don't know. Look, the thing with McRae's sides too is they rarely smash anyone, even when you're 4 or 5 goals up. I was following the score because I was filming and watching the score on my phone. I was like, oh, we're 5 goals up. I bet we don't keep that. Then the next time I looked, we were like 2 goals up.
Yeah, there was a cyclone blowing down one end, though, because it was an open ground at Ballarat.
Yeah, so I'd like to see some maturity from the side, which is a funny thing to say, given they're all irony. But I'd like to just see, instead of all these daring comeback wins and that, do we still have that in us? Do we still have the?
No, I think that's vacated our repertoire. That holding on for a win thing.
Yeah, and coming back from 4 or 5 goals down. No, I'll say 5 goals. No, 17 points.
17, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, I'll say we'll lose by 17.
All right.
One of us will be wrong.
We're obviously back.
And we're back.
Just when I thought I was out.
We're here to stay for this week.
I think that's
till we get fucking sick of it.
Yeah, buy a t-shirt.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Anyway, subscribe, like, share, do all that sort of stuff. If you have questions, put them in the comments. If you don't have questions, put them in the comments. If you have Star Trek ideas, email them to Alex Kurtzman. He needs them.
He's got no fucking idea.
He needs them. Anyway, that's it from us.
I know he knows how to fuck a show.
Oh, he's done multiple shows.
He could come to us. We know how to fuck one each week as well.
All right. Later.
Catch. Thanks for watching. It was great.
Yeah.
And we're back.